Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Download the Uplift, a place where when we fall, we try and uplift you. We are back with the second half of our in-depth interview with real estate guru Ken Parlee. He had a ton of information to share, but guess what? He's back to finish it off with another helping of awesome information. We appreciate you guys for listening. So without further ado, let's get right back into the conversation. Have a blessed week. Take it away, Download the Uplift crew. He ain't lying about auto insurance, dude. It's obnoxious. Like, thank God for Tesla insurance and the fact that it's available in Texas and Nevada, actually, not Mass or New Hampshire yet. But they just track you. So if you drive like a jerk, your rate goes up. And if you drive normally, I mean, it's watching everything. If you hard brake, you get a deduction. It's crazy, dude. But like for Geico and I have my CDL, like I have a good driving record. They wanted $420 a month for car insurance, dude, not the car payment. I was a month. And that went down from what Nevada was for me. And I was like, listen, right now
I feel guilty. 2 of my vehicles for 6 months is probably about $500.
Well, God bless Elon, because they give you a safety score and it changes like hard braking, forward collision warnings, aggressive turning, late night driving. That's the only thing. If you drive after 11 p.m., they ding you.
Do you have access to the Tesla insurance?
Yeah, I do. That's what I'm using.
I don't have access. The state of Mass doesn't allow it.
Now it's $122 a month, so it's like,
oh, that's fantastic.
Don't drive like a jerk, basically.
Do they penalize you for the self-driving car braking too hard?
No, they don't. No, that's the thing. If it's autopilot, it's like, oh, it's not your fault, which is crazy because it's not like I meant to do something on purpose, but that thing is watching everything. It's the most, it's the most incredible vehicle. I was reading somewhere today is he designed them for the battery to outlast the car. So when there's like this battery apprehension with these cars, which I get it, there's been horror stories and the thing can be up to 15 grand. I don't know where we got on Teslas, but God bless America and Download the Uplift.
Every episode is all about Elon.
That's fine.
He's great.
Goat's the goat, man. Minus Tom Brady. But
yeah, Tommy, good old Tommy. Go on.
But when we talk about high insurance, it brings me to that you know what that could cause, and having a high bill in general is adversity. And here at Download the Uplift, we like to help uplift our audience. So Ken, what are one of the ways that you could share with us that maybe a circumstance at the job site, a deal falling through, you had to deal with lawyers, where you faced adversity, and how could you help, like a broad way? What's a good way to overcome adversity?
I could say I dealt with that this week. We had a gentleman who is extremely seasoned and well-known, and we were preparing for our footings. Now, you'll say like a floor height, and everything was supposed to be at 92, which is an elevation. It's all based on the sea level. So I got to put in my footings now.
Wait, what is that? Talk to like.
Okay, so we got to dig a hole to put a foundation in, and then we have to put in footings. So those footings go underneath the walls for the foundation walls. Okay. Now those footings, they have to be level, because the slab in the basement actually sits on top of the footings. So those footings will have an edge out, and then I pour my slab, and it sits on top of those footings as well.
Okay.
Now, there was a lot of variables in the height of that ground. So we had issues where we're supposed to have a 92 floor for our height, and we had a 92 and 4 inches. And then you went over another 25 feet and you had a 92 8 inches, and then you went on the other side of the building and then you had 92 3 inches. Now I have to make it level. By nature, you just say, okay, I'll just get back in there and dig it up. The problem is that the contractor that is doing the footings came in the day before and laid down everything for the footings to be poured, and he didn't measure out. That's, the surveyor was there. Literally 5 or 6 seasoned gentlemen this passed by. So now it is, do we raise the footing? So this building's 81 feet long. Now off the rear, I have a 93 height, and off the front, I have a 92. So what I could do is I could take the front and I could raise that up like with the pour and the top of the foundation, with the top of the footing. I could have that footing be 2 feet tall. And then the one on the other side be 1 foot tall, right? And I can just walk it out. Now the problem with that is that's going to take about 20 more yards of concrete.
How much we talking?
$200 a yard, $4,000.
Wow.
Yeah, well, you still have to ask the contractor to build up those footings now. So we need more paneling. So you might be talking another $2,500 in labor. That's a problem, especially when you're on a fixed contract. So I told everybody to go home. And, you respectfully say whatever, hey, everybody missed this thing or whatever. We got to take a step back and we got to go home. So it's my job, right, to say, okay, what solution do we need to find? And so you call people that you trust. You call people that are smarter than you. You call people that are wiser than you. And you ask them what they would do. So I had several recommendations of things to do, and they weren't really the solution I was looking for, because the solution I was looking for cost me nothing. And I opened up my book and I did a little digging, and I found a resource, an exclusion inside the IBC that states that I can have a 6-inch tall footing. For this type of, and a standard, this is like a standardized thing. You run into like a lot of old tech with building, where I've done the walls or I've done the footings 24 by 12 my whole life. So I know no other way. So I had to convince this contractor, and not only convince him, tell him that this is how it's going to be built. Now, by me doing this, minusing out the 6 inches, and then on top of that, the foundation walls were proposed of a 7-foot 6-inch height. I actually stole a half a foot in the footing, and then I stole another half a foot in the wall. So my top of wall will be level, and my footing, between the footing and the top, so the wall, it will grow as you go to the front. So it will be 8 feet tall in the front, 7 feet tall, 6 inches in the back. But the top of the wall will be level. Now, not only did I get the solution, talk to my architect, and then also run it by the building inspector, but I also saved myself about 7 yards of concrete. That's $1,400. So my job got kicked back 2 days, but the job's getting done. It's going to be done right. And, take a breather. Step back. Yeah. No great decision is made right there and then. Give it 24 hours if there's no pressure on you. This is what's that movie there with Stallone there and they're hanging from the wire. This isn't what's going on. Yeah, cliffhanger. All right, the glass is full. Take your time. Focus.
Wow.
Concentrate your energy and deep dive into that problem. Chances are there's another solution.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah.
That's hugely important. It's I tend to be the kind of guy that doesn't react too much, but like recent years, at least internally, I kind of react to things a lot. But I think that's important. Like don't be quick to act. Sometimes you need to think about it. Think about what the solution is, because if you didn't spend that time, you wouldn't have found that, and other people could have just gone down a path of spending way more money, but you actually save money. So that's great.
You need to seek deflation in every operation that you do in your life, other than the time that you spend with your family. So if I'm in the middle of a process and I am going from point A to point B, I am constantly trying to figure out that I only go to point A to B once. And on top of when I go once, I am being utilized to my fullest extent. Now, I can get some negative feedback on that because maybe I spent a little bit too much time on that thing, because I'm saying, oh, what did I miss? What did I miss where those synergies are? But I'd break that down and say you're going to the grocery store All right. When you go to the grocery store, pick your brand, stick with it. Walk down the aisle and just grab what you want. Grab what you know you like. You already looked at the label. You know the ingredients. Don't spend that time or that energy or effort to do that. So you create that deflation. Hey, I order everything from Shaw's now. I don't even grab my own groceries. It's tough, but that's how I created deflation, to ensure that I have the calories and all those things that we need and what we want. I literally just click a button, and they refill my cart with what I did last time. I delete, I do whatever, and you give the guy $15 and fridge is full. You gotta constantly seek deflation in your life. Decentralization is going to be so valuable in our future, where you have more and more little places that can get you stuff quick. You know, it gets you stuff quick. So that's a future that I think we see, is more and more decentralization, because especially in the greater Boston area, if you stay behind that wheel too long, it's very expensive.
John just brought up like adversities and stuff like that. I more generally though, what are the biggest challenges you face in the real estate market today with things like inflation and stuff like that? Are margins closer in the market, or is business kind of booming a bit more with building properties, or what's your take on that?
Home building is not a great business to be in right now. It is negative yielding. So if you had $1 million building, typical cap rate in my area would be around 5 or 6%. So, you know, maybe you make 50 grand off of $1 million. Now, there's other metrics that are involved in that, with appreciation and depreciation. But when interest rates from a commercial standpoint are 8, 9, 10%, every dollar actually costs me, you know, every $100, I'm actually more than likely, for credit, I'm losing $4. So the project I'm in now, I don't mind getting in the numbers, is this building I recently did. It cost me about $1 million. You know, I'm going to be in debt about $1 million, 8%, right? That's a big nut to handle.
Yeah.
My business, you know, cash flow is very well right now, and I don't want to be subsidizing other housing, but luckily I have enough store value in the property at this time where I don't have that much risk. Like, oh, well, I owe $1 million, but it's worth 1.8. Now, what I can gross off that is my return on my cash in is a lot less than I would normally seek. All right.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But at this moment, if I sell it and then I get a suitcase full of paper, now what do I do with the paper? You know, I could buy a bigger boat. You could buy treasuries. You could buy teaser CD rates, which they go, 5.5%. I don't believe you. I don't trust you and your store value. And I'm not going to give you $1 million at 5.5%. So then you guys can dumb down the money again. And now I'm sitting on paper chasing real things as they're diluting it. You know, a lot of stuff I hear from older gentlemen and women is, if I kept everything I had, I'd be worth millions. They say it all the time. And, you know, I'll meet these people and they consider themselves middle class. And I hate to break it to them. I don't really think they are. If you really look at the numbers, middle class is not what it used to be, you know?
Yeah.
You know, middle class to me is, I don't know, maybe worth $2 million in my area. You know, this is one of the most expensive metros, not only in our country, but in the world. So,
Crazy. Boston.
Yeah, well, it's a finite, real estate's a finite thing, and it's even more finite when you have these legal hurdles with zoning involved. So there's a lot of hurdles that control the supply, and I see it. I see another 5 or 10 year bull run in the real estate market in the Boston area.
Oh wow, yeah, I was going to ask, like, where do you see real estate going in the next 5 years? So that's cool that you brought that up. So it's still a bull run for the next 5 years, at least in your
There's
area.
very, I feel like they put property over people with zoning. It was an instrument that was built, a legal tool that was built to control, areas and density, single family, 15,000 square foot lots, so much frontage. But the reality is the cities don't even realize it yet, is that they can't afford it. And I'm seeing it right now on the front lines. I'm very active in my local government because I'm trying to express to them that they're broke and they don't know it yet. If it costs me $120,000 to build 100 foot of road with curbing, 60 feet wide, and I have 2 houses, and the liability, you still have to service them, salt, plowing, right? We need services, schools. The density just doesn't meet the demand that the municipality is going to need to pay the bills. So they don't see it yet, but it's going to happen. The elderly are going to get taxed out of their property. And, that's kind of how the song and dance goes.
Listen, you've had your hands in every aspect of it, but so general contractor basically means you're managing all the other branches, right? So like you handle the electricians and the plumbing. So I bet like one of the main advantages is that you are an area where you grew up, and so you have a good network. Is that like crucial? Like if you want to try and do a property, having network and marketing, and you have people you can call like a trusty, electrician or whatever, because I mentioned general contracting because you hear horror stories. Like I hired this guy, like it's pop culture, to make a pizza oven. They came, or I think King of Queens episode, they came and they haven't come back in 2 weeks. But having that solid foundation, is that like up there in all things when it comes to developing properties, or what?
Yeah, you just be a good person. You don't screw people over. That's a good place to start. Now, the contracting, the business of that is I'm half banker, and I'm have to know what everybody does.
Okay.
So I need to make sure that everybody does their job to the best of their ability and conforming to the minimum standard of the building code. So that's the minimum, and your contracts have to state that. And you just got to be careful with how you dole out that cash. You, as a general contractor, I'm there to protect you.
Yeah.
That's my job. And you'll have a lot of people that person that hired that guy to do the pizza oven, he didn't talk to a guy like me. He talked to the mason, and he didn't do the contract right. And he gave him too much money up front.
Yeah.
And they never mind the fact that the guy that did do it, he got pinched last weekend. So he had to come up with 20 grand real quick to take care of some problems, and he took him out of the job. So, that's a risk thing. You got to learn how to manage risk and how I mitigate risk. General contractors mitigate risk. Now, you got to make sure you hook up with a good guy. Relationships do count. The house I sit in now was a phone call to me in one of the most restrictive real estate markets, again, in the world. So they looked for me because they knew that I was going to take care of business.
So it sounds like you're almost like daddy sometimes, though. I know, not really, but on these, being a GC, I don't know, you're like, I have to make sure they're getting their stuff done because you are half banker. So do you not like doing that? Because I think you said when you're like the firefighter and the teacher, you're the GC for them, right? Is
Correct.
Basically. So, because you said your time for paper. So you're not even like a fan of that. You're just basically doing the right thing. Is that kind of like, you'd rather, like, what's your dream scenario if for a deal to come in your email or in your mailbox? Like, what's the prime time deal for you that you want to be involved with?
Well, we're actively working on one right now with 12 acres in Billerica, 11 lot proposed subdivision.
Yeah.
We're doing that, but that's not really what my passion is at this moment, me being active in our local government is I'm trying to build housing for blue collar workers. That zoning issue dictates that I have to build a $1.1 million townhome, when I think that there's a better use of the land, and one that's more accommodative to the new and upcoming proposed middle class. There is no bridge right now, and that light is dwindling for that stepping stone or that lily pad home, because you run up against guys like me, and I'll buy that ranch that you're supposed to fix up and whatever, and I hit it with a machine and I build a $1.8 million house on it. And the reason why that is because of the zoning. If you have something that's conforming. So if you're starting off, that's something where to go is start focusing on the zoning, and then try to find something that's non-conforming, because then you're not competing against me.
That's wild, man. Oh my gosh. And the fact that, we don't talk politics on Download the Uplift, but that is something that people kind of sleep on. Like, your local government is something people kind of don't take so much time, or they don't put so much time into, when those things can affect you the most, especially if you have kids and stuff. Like, go to those city council meetings and stuff, like whatever's going on in the national election, it can affect you. But I even here in West Texas, I think the guy that's like in charge of my little zip code area, my neighborhood, he ran unopposed. Like, I should have ran against the dude. But
it's a tough job. It really is. It's a tough job. They're underpaid. You get yelled at about trash.
Yeah.
And from a parent that really it's something that could be doing with the school, but really has no affiliation with what you actually do. They just stare at you and say, you're a government official and I'm mad and you're going to listen to me. Because you do work for them. But there's a respect barrier that gets consistently broken between people and their representatives, and they want what's best for the town. So if, you got to be a little bit more wind behind their back than trying to push them down. That's not going to get anybody anywhere. It's a tough job. So you got to find ways that, hey, how can I help you?
Yeah,
that's where you got to start with anything you're doing.
Yeah.
How can I help you? And should come back around.
Yeah, with like today's technology and everything, and social media and stuff like that, I feel like people are so broad on all the issues that we're facing. Like social issues or economic or resources and stuff like that. I don't think people pay attention enough to like their own community where that's where you can actually have the most effect versus like world changing things. It starts with the home. So
yeah. Is your home in order? I love that. You mentioned these high price houses, and you're in a very expensive part of the country. But people are coming up with it, because I had this pulled up. This is these apparently evictions are on like the rise right now. And one of the top cities is LV, unfortunately. Let me share this with you guys.
Yeah.
But it's wild, because in a place like Boston, listen, you make a ton more money, but it's just so expensive to live. But then there's places like, okay, what's it say? Evictions are rising fastest in these 5 American cities. Gainesville, and then Minneapolis, St. Paul, Twin Cities, but then it says Vegas. It says Las Vegas has seen 43% leap in evictions, with 47,741 filings so far this year. So it's scary to see that people are getting booted out of their places. I don't know how that affects you, Ken. I mean, I think what made me think, I had this pulled up because is something like this and dealing with tenants one of the reasons that you pivoted to doing Airbnbs and short-term rentals? Is that like, because you've had your hand in every kind of real estate, but you're like, that's it, Airbnb, baby. When you look at those statistics of Gainesville and Vegas and these and tenants and commercial and all this stuff, is that what pointed you to Airbnb?
Yeah, let's start off with just saying with what you consume from that metric is what's the size of the apple and how big is that slice, and they disclose 47,000. I don't know if there's 1.7 million homes or, so I just something to think about when we consume that data. Now, during, I have long-term renters, mid-term renters, and short-term rentals as well. Now, the long-term renters that I have are friends of mine, are associates, are people that I want to keep close to me. So it's really important to me that they're with me or near me. Now, during the pandemic, right, that was the thing. I don't have to pay my rent right now. So I probably got shorted about, maybe about $30,000. Now you got two little kids, and I wasn't filing for any paperwork or anything to get dough. I just was doing my thing. You have some growing pains. So, and the person that owed me money, I knew him for over 20 years. So it's not like, I understood the hardship. I knew what was going on. And it was just, hey, you guys got to get out of my way. So I had to do what I did to mitigate risk. So if you have some long terms, the people that are in there mitigate risk for me. One of them is my landscaper. One of them deals with doing stuff with walls and stuff like that. One of them helps me out with my children. Okay, so that mitigates risk for me. It creates deflation in my life. I can trade a little bit of deflation for a couple of greenbacks. Okay, now the midterm is what I mainly focus on. Now, the state of Massachusetts has a rooms tax rate for this state rate is a little over 6%. It's like 6.4%. And then you have a local percent as well. I don't even know what that is. Almost like if you stay at a hotel. Right. The hotel is $100. Your tax would be probably $10.50. Okay. So I don't like paying that. I don't like seeing the guests pay that, and that's not really my main focus. Is that type of deal? But I really try to focus on people transitioning from home to home, people that are transient, leaving Colorado, leaving California, leaving wherever they're from. And they're coming to the Boston market. So I'll get a lot of guests that will stay for several months. They have the Ds as well. And I describe them as the Ds. You have a disease, divorce, disaster, death. Those are big boulders that move around the real estate industry that make things move. So you have all those metrics move around as well. And the short term really fills the gap in between those. So, it's important I moved in on that market. And because on top of it, well, it's deflationary. They inquire. I have an automatic response. They click on a button. The payment is done. I don't have to ask them for money. They disclose their date. I have automation involved that says their check-in process. I have YouTube videos that give them a walkthrough. I do not have one single conversation, and I already got paid.
Isn't that crazy? And AI helps a lot. You use AI for a lot with your business, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of conversations that I have with GPT, and things are rolling around. Like right now, I'm working with GPT on a model for investment because now I have this looming issue with the debt. 8% debt. Now, I wouldn't sell something to somebody that I wouldn't buy myself. So I don't want to say, hey, Dane, you know what? You got $100,000. The bank says they'll give you a CD for 5.5%. Hey, I'll give you 7, right? Then I get an arbitrage of 1%. All right. Yeah. I wouldn't buy that myself. So I'm trying to work on a model right now, and I've been talking it out with GPT where, I think I'm going to start fractionalizing an asset because I've never sold anything before because I don't really believe in it. I wouldn't advise people ask me, "Oh, would you sell my house?" I'm like, no, because I don't think it's in your best interest. But when my interests lie with the investor or they're a friend of mine or whatnot, those things kind of go hand in hand. So I'm currently working on a model where I'd be willing to express a share, and that share, I wouldn't define a fixed return, but you'd have an appraisal, say, once a year, and then every year we say, hey, well, your share was worth this, now your share is worth that. This is what the building grossed. You get a dividend before Christmas.
Yeah,
we got to go. We're at 13 doors for the short term, midterm. Then we got 3 long term. 2 of those long terms can be converted. 2 of those long terms can be converted into 4. So we got projections going into that. We should have about 20 probably in, the next 3 years. But, well, I get to 20. Well, how do I get to 40?
Hey, Ken, so if I was an Airbnb-er looking for a new place in Boston or Airbnb in general, is there any hacks that we could, is there any Airbnb hacks?
100%. Yeah. Download the photo, throw it in Google search via image, and more than likely you'll find a direct booking site. And more than likely you'll save at least 5%. Now, if you're a midterm or talking 32 days, you might be talking $5,000. 5% of 5,000. That sounds like a nice fish dinner to me.
How about that, Dane? That's a real, a nice fish dinner. Let's go.
That's awesome. Yeah. I've done a couple like Airbnbs and stuff like that. And they'll, so some of the tenants, if they like doing business with you or whatever, they just go, or not tenants, sorry. Some of the owners, if they like doing business with you, they'll just say like, rent it out from me direct. And you save so much money doing that.
Yeah. We have, advertisements inside, the buildings saying, do you want to extend? Do you want to continue? The QR code, scan the QR code, send an inquiry. And then I just click response. And I literally split it 50-50 with whatever Airbnb gets. So it comes to about 7% per party. So if Airbnb's take is 14%, I just split that relayed value with the guest. 50-50 works for me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Are there any, because you know about like 3D scanning technology and stuff like that. Do you use any of that for some of your automation or like, websites and stuff for any of your properties, like virtual tours or anything?
I do not.
You don't?
I don't have a income problem. I don't focus on my marketing right now because everything's flush. If you see there's a problem, like, hey, my vacancy's up, something's off, right? Take a step back, spend a little time thinking about that. There's a lot of, and their channels. Airbnb is a channel that you use to harvest guests. There's VRBO, Expedia. You have your direct booking site. So you have all these channels that you can use. Now, I utilize Airbnb a lot. I use VRBO a lot for the vacation home we have in New Hampshire. But now that home, it grosses a lot. It's a big money house. Half of our bookings during the season are direct bookings and our return guests. And, we're talking $8,000 a week here. So, that adds up. If B&B is taking 14%, that's a lot of dough. If you have a business that's going to, gross $750,000 and they're taking 14%, that's a tough pill to swallow. But as of right now, there's value in that. And it's okay. You don't mind paying it, but that's for the introduction as well. So, hey, thanks for introducing me to this person. I pay the toll, and then you move forward.
Yeah, you almost it's customer acquisition, and then you have your clientele that just pay.
That's way you can label it. Yep, it's definitely a cost acquisition.
We're gonna get you out of here soon, but I want to do two kind of fun things. Number one, I want to get your reaction to this guy and see if you've ever dealt with anything like this. I want to share this. So, all right, Ken, you mentioned, and it's cool because you answer like a bunch of my questions at once. You said there's midterm, short term, long term. Let's say you had a long term and you thought they were good people, but whatever. And this is you couldn't get them out. Let's see. What's your reaction?
The sheriff's officially kicked them out the house. These clowns accused me of locking them out of the garage where all their trash is. They have the only key, so just to whatever, we're gonna break the lock.
I brought a key.
Just so they can't play no goddamn games. Holy.
We're gonna have to do a little editing.
Yeah, he has 24 hours to get this crap. This is our townhome that we bought brand new that our tenants / squatters have destroyed.
Oh, poor babies.
More than one cat.
It's two.
Oh my gosh.
I've had cats left.
These kittens looked sickly and malnourished, so we took them to the vet where they immediately gave them shots and whatnot to help them.
What's your impression? People that are listening, basically what we just showed him, someone that wouldn't get out, so they had to go through all the legal proceedings. See, that's a sketchy thing about, and I don't know how Massachusetts is, but if someone just says, guess what, I'm not paying, you know, I know it's state to state on how you can actually get bad tenants out, but do you have, two-parter, what do you think when you see something like that? And two, have you ever dealt with any really bad tenants, and how'd you deal with that yourself?
You move forward. When you don't let them consume your time, your life force. I call it life force because there's the blood, sweat, and tears, right? That's the physical, right? The physical, and then there's the mental store value, the time. So I like to call it life force. I'm not going to appropriate too much of my life force to that being. You don't treat things that way, and if they don't know that, I'm not going to exert any more energy or effort I need to deal with that person than other the fact that you gotta clean up what's left over, and you move forward. So I know there was a second part to that.
Oh, have you dealt personally with nightmare tenants yourself?
Yes.
It's going to happen, right? It's like inevitable.
Well, yeah, they'll tell you up and down, I'm the best tenant in the world because they pay on time. But then they move out 4 years later and they've never wiped down a baseboard or the stuff you see crawling on top of the fan. You know, people, I have a certain way I live my life. And it's surprising how you see some other people live. Really some like lurking, like dwellers, you know, cave-like mentality. So it is what it is. People, you know, us, you know, humans, we are pretty complex.
Yeah, that's why Dane doesn't show us behind his mic, man. Things are a little sketchy back there. You better watch out.
Yeah, but behind the chair, you mean?
Yeah, who knows what's going on in that shelf?
There's something breathing back there.
Well, yeah, listen.
You can see there's like a printer, there's some more gear that I don't need really.
Well, that's got to be the big thing about Airbnb, dude, because I mean, I remember before that even came along, and this is me just outside looking in and hearing stuff that like residential, you got to deal with people, but commercial, usually it's longer term leases and stuff. And it's, I don't know, listen, there people can still trash the place, but you know, are they going to be hoarders necessarily? I guess they could be. I don't know. Who knows what I'm talking about? But I'm saying like Airbnb, at least there's probably way more power, right? If you want to get them out, you can be like, dude, you guys got to go.
Yeah, there's really no such thing as passive investing. If you say you're passive investing, to me that just means you're lazy. You know, you can create a solution of something that does create cash flow. You know, there's layers to that. The more you neglect to pay attention to your assets, right, it can cost you big time. With B&B, yeah, you have an agreement, a termed agreement disclosed between certain dates, and that's on that platform. So, you know, they can make arguments outside of that, but you can also make legal arguments too, where it's like, well, I have a lease on that property, and I also have a check of me paying that lease. So I don't know what justifies you saying that that was your homestead or your primary residence, but you got to bring some proof to the table as well. So if there's no electricity bill in the name, there's no cable bill in the name, there's no receipts of them paying any bills, you have an agreement on that channel. And then I'd kind of leave it at that. I've been very fortunate where I haven't really had any extremely confrontational issues with the guests staying beyond what was requested. There's a rating system. You've all seen Black Mirror, right?
No, what's that?
I've seen some of it.
Come on. Oh,
What is it? What is it again? Brief?
It's kind of like the Twilight Zone meets tech. It's on Netflix.
Awesome.
It's really good data. Really good content. Yeah, it's very enlightening. But you have this rating system, right? That's almost like we're in the CCP, right? So you have this channel with the Airbnb, and we rate each other, and it's important. It's very important. And if you have a negative rating, you pay a deposit. If you don't have a rating, you pay a deposit, and part of that deposit is to ensure that you do have a good.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, that's what I do.
That makes sense.
Because it's my asset, and I dictate what goes on in there. So
throw a rager at KP's place. Woo!
Let's go. Yeah. Let's go.
Oh shoot.
So, it's your stuff, and you just display ownership constantly, and you expose yourself to less risk.
Yeah, we're gonna get you out of here in like 10 minutes. What did I say? Oh, I think one of the cool things to take away from this, if you've come this far with us, first of all, thank you. And second of all is you need to hear the fact that this dude was fixing washer and dryers, hustling, to now owning, I think he said upwards. We're not going to say an exact number, but what? I remember him and I were sitting around drinking a cold Busch Light, and it was like, bro, all you got to do is get to 5 properties. That's when you know you've made it. So he's definitely surpassed that. And what I wrote down is starting something new is going to be scary, and you're going to be bad at it. But you gotta, exactly like you said, exactly like we say on this channel all the time, is you gotta keep moving forward. And I got goosebumps. I think the fact that, bro, if you can start with one property that you, like you said, let me start rehabbing the basement so I don't have to pay this whole mortgage. Let me offset some of those costs. But if you don't go after it and willing to fail and know that it's gonna be scary and you're gonna suck at it and there's gonna be a lot to learn, just like anything creative Dane's he's had so many artistic things going on, or business ventures, and who knows what's going on when they think of Gabriel, Mark, Johnny, Snowball. But the fact that you went out there and now you've built a solid business and a beautiful family is something really cool, man. I think it's very impressive to hang your hat on, dude.
Yeah. There's not a lot of time to pat yourself on the back. I constantly try to push myself beyond necessity, or so that I'm too far out. I'm constantly trying to challenge myself.
Amen.
There's a quote. I know, because you go, quote of the week, quote of the guest of the week.
Let's hear it.
And I'm not going to say this like verbatim, but it's you need not cripple or impair your son by bullet or bludgeon, but to merely leave him beyond the means of necessity. And you need to constantly challenge yourself so that you aren't outside of that primal, that primal need, that primal go get you. I wake up every day. What can I do for my children? And that's really all it is. I wake up every day just to, all I need is a bale of hay. You know that, G. I just need a bale of hay, and if I had a little top over the top of my head, believe it or not, I'd be relatively content if my family was around. But you want to give them those chances, but they know I'll give it all away. Don't test me.
Because this is a mental health channel. Well, kind of, who knows? But we do like to talk about that, bro. When you do have so much, you have to delegate all these tasks, and you got to make sure the kids are happy, not just fed, but you got to make sure they're happy. You got to make sure the wife is happy. You got to have the boys' time. You got to throw those darts. You got to be able to. What are you doing to maintain balance? And are you doing, I asked Johnny, are you taking care of yourself too? Because it's not even a selfish thing to think of. Are you doing things to like something to help what's going on with all the stuff that you have to take on, all the weight on your shoulders, like upstairs mentally?
I am emotional every day, where I will shed tears of what I see some other people go through, and people I work with. I like to start off, when I'm working with people, I ask them how their day is going. And then I follow it up with, how is your day really going? And you take that time to express to people that, you care. Your life's important. All right. There's definitely an issue with suicide, especially among males. There's a lot of stuff that we put on our shoulders ourselves. I believe 1.7 million Americans make an attempt at their life a year. It's because in our minds, we set this bar of what's expected of us, to do more, to do all this other stuff. Hey, what we believe is expected of us, and what our family deems is expected of us, we have to be there. We gotta slow down, and you gotta talk to people, and you gotta express to them that you do care. And and that's it. I nap, meditate probably about 3 times a week. I wake up relatively early to kind of lay off the gas, because my mind runs. I wake up thinking very, very hard. I'm sure there's some
for a second.
Yeah, there's some mania or manic thing that goes on inside my head. But I had challenges with drive prior to my children. But I would just say to all men out there is, have a family.
Amen.
Yeah. Start a family.
It's
Start
so
a family.
important.
You want to let some and spend time with them. Appropriate the time.
I'm working on it, dude. I'm working on it. I'm swiping. Yeah.
You got to go out. You got to go out. You got to, and I don't have to say that to you. All right. I know. You work the crowd a little bit.
It's so important, dude. Survival and replication. I've said it before. I've said it again. I've read books about it. That's why we're here. It's to have kids. And dude, it's not. Trust me, I'm ready. Who's ready? Too bad I don't have any visitors. Let me ask you, are you doing any of this? We're mentioning journaling here on Download the Uplift.
Let me see here. Well, I don't in particular journal or write to myself. Because the racing, but I do have large amounts of literature that I've written, and just in a state of just blah, 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 and writing to myself. Sometimes I'd be writing stuff to myself while I was upset, and I can't even read what I wrote.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. I can't read this stuff.
I can't read what I wrote because I was thinking so fast. You have...
Oh, then you're doing it.
Things I have on this wall right here, things that I've wrote to people that I love. Obviously, writing's important. Whatever you can do to collect your thoughts and take a step back.
Good.
And control the flow, the rate, of the mind, because when it goes too fast sometimes, because I'm a scatterbrain, because I'm juggling 12 to 15 pins a day. But You know,
Yeah,
hey, that's why you got to get a team.
I have the same issue with just thinking about 10 different things at once, and it's hard. Like once you get that snowball effect going, where you're just constantly thinking about everything, like it's hard to break out of that. And I think that's what causes me most of the stress. And it's like, you get the physical change that happens when you're thinking that much and just fall into that stress and that pattern. Yeah, it's tough. But
a strategy I use for that is I'll look at that sheet of paper and then I write down 1, 2, 3 on what I feel is the most important task that I address that day. Then I look at 4, 5, 6 and I find out if there's any way I can delegate those other 3 tasks. And that's how I start my day. And if there's a way you can delegate a little bit, you can't do it on your own. It's just not, it's not going to happen. But there's some things that you do have to hold the torch on. But there's a lot of people out there that want to share the burden. They want to share the responsibility, and you got to let them run. You got to trust them, and you got to let them run.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's good advice.
I think of all things, to real estate, family, whatever, the one thing you should do is put a deposit down on one of these. Is it true, Mr. Parlee, that you are going to be the proud owner in a couple months of one of these Tesla Cybertruck?
CYBERBEAST, to be exact.
CYBERBEAST. Yo, big props to my boy KP. He's going to be ripping a tri-motor stainless steel fire breathing monster around Boston, just ripping and running, man. Yo, I get it. Everyone sees Airbnb entrepreneurs like, yo, I'm going to get the red Ferrari. You're like, nah, man, screw that. I want a CYBERBEAST. What's going on? When's this thing coming in? And what's the thought process behind this beast?
It's due October, and it's an excessive amount of money. It is.
What did he just say? Right? And it's an excessive amount of money?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of money. You know, you have to say to yourself, is this a good allocation of an asset, and how much of it do you want to put into it? Now, I love the truck. I love the thought of the truck. I love the thesis of the truck. Do I want to pay for the truck? No, I don't. Can I afford the truck? Yes, I can. This isn't just a truck. It is a super truck. It's a very finite thing, and I'm trading a suitcase of paper for a finite asset. Now, and I call it an asset because I fully intend and plan on putting this on Toro. I have 2 very capable gentlemen that I trust wholly with the truck, and I would like to use it maybe 10 days out of the month or when I see fit, because I can't afford it. But I'm not buying a liability. You shouldn't be buying liabilities. So if I can create a asset out of this, I'm going to try to walk that path. Now, I had some intentions when we purchased a Y. They expressed to me, hey, Ken, it's going to be a long time till you get your Cybertruck. So that, all right, whatever, screw it. I'll buy the car, right? And so I bought the car, and it feels great knowing that my family's safe.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. The quality of driving, and what really sold me was the stereo. I just don't feel like these car companies really focusing. I used to be a big audiophile, on that quality of that moment that you have in the car behind the wheel. The car's driving straight, it's smart, it's quiet, and you have fantastic sound. It is a very rich experience. Now that Cybertruck is also going to provide that experience, and I anticipate that truck can gross $4,000 to $5,000 a month. I may be wrong, but I think at a later date, I'll be more than willing to disclose the numbers on it. So we're going to get the thing. We'll get it in here. And before I'm going to sit in it. I'm going to drive it to the shop. We're going to get it wrapped. And
no way. I didn't know that. What are you thinking?
Wrap it. Good luck keeping it clean. And that's the reason why I'm wrapping it. Is trying to keep it clean.
Till it's mirror. Those dudes are crazy. Like
it's still the metal, and it's porous. Even though it doesn't oxidize, it's still porous. So it will consume oil from the fingers. It will, when it rains, if this acid rain, you're going to see water spots on it, and it's going to eat me alive. So we'll get the wrap on it, get the wrap done. And supposedly it's one of the easiest things to wrap. And I told the guy I was going to wrap it. I was like, wrap it, take the thing for 2 weeks. I don't care. It's a fair trade to me.
Oh,
nice. So he'll take it. We'll wrap it, and the question is, I don't know. Leave some comments below. What color should this thing be?
Ooh.
Me initially, I was like, oh, like a Ferrari yellow, or something. But I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, hey, I want something I can sell, something I can make money on, something that is an asset and creates value. Now, we know that these electric cars are an extremely deflationary asset. I'm buying a robot with wheels. Awesome. It's a robot. This is the first robot they have access to. So it should be utilized to its fullest. Buy a robot, and as they keep coming out with more robots, you buy the robots, and you create deflation in your life. And I believe that this robot can do that.
And when he's in the cyber, he's just listening to Popping Bottles, She's a Model.
No, those are like Amberlynn shedding tears.
Amberlynn's awesome.
Well, I didn't know you listened to Amberlynn. Love Amberlynn. I was listening to them. Ready fuels. I don't know.
I know it's going to be a good driving experience. So,
what speaker system do they have in there? What brand is it?
As far as I know, it's totally proprietary.
They're crazy, dude.
I didn't do any more due diligence beyond that, other than I have my user base, which is me with my children, and then I have my user interface when I'm in the car alone. I actually sit a little more stern, and the radio is the X is over my head, and the car is a little bit more comfortable to my liking, my kids, and it's a really great experience.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, cranking those tunes in the car, man. There's nothing like it. Dane had the subs. I think all three of us had subs. I mean,
I had systems worth more than the car.
A lot of the Dynamat.
Yeah. my system, I think, was worth just as much as my car.
The Ford Escape.
Yeah.
What'd you have? 18s in that thing?
I had dual 18 kickers, and I still have them.
Dude, that's a lot. That's a lot of bass. Yo, what'd you say?
Okay, well, remember we were at McMullen's, and I played that one song for you guys. It was like the most amount of bass in any song that I've heard. I'm trying to think of what song it was.
Probably a lot of Guinness and booze drank that day, and all of all of every day.
Anyway, it was a lot of bass. Everyone got out immediately.
There's a stereo I've had my eye on for quite some time, but I still haven't gotten it for myself. It's just one of those things that I said, hey, when I feel like I can let my guard down and I've taken care of my inner circle, then that will be my moment of joy. That I spend with myself. And I look at it all the time. It's in my thing. And then, Amazon, Prime deal of the day or whatever.
What sound system is this?
Yeah, this is a Nakamichi system that I've been looking at. And it's not even, it's like $900 or $1,000.
Dane, have you heard of Nakamichi?
I've heard of the brand.
Are you a fan?
Well, Nakamichi, that's, I think Well, so you got car audio. I think they also might do like home audio stuff, but it's not.
Yeah, that's what I'm specifically talking about as a home audio system.
Cool.
For my entertainment room downstairs. Hey, the Tesla, it's a great experience. I wouldn't go messing with cars anymore. And, frankly, I do whatever I can do, right? How do you spend that time? I used to love, we all loved cars. I don't know. I can't speak for both of you guys, but the electric cars is the first time I've actually wanted a car, probably for a decade.
Yeah, when Tesla first came out, I was super interested in it. I still am. But it's just more about like, can I afford it right now? And
That's
I can't.
fair.
So.
Do you drive a lot, Dan?
Oh yeah, I drive. Well, I used to drive way more because I was like going to gigs on the opposite side of town and everything. I drive an Acadia right now. Not too bad, like with gas mileage, but yeah,
Well, it's just the time operating the vehicle, when I just display that robot mentality is like, well, that robot comes, with a driver. It's $8,000. It's $8,000 now. That's a lot of money. But I'll tell you what, if you get a driver and you live around my area, that guy costs 60 or 70K a year. So if I can, press software update, thank you. It's even $99. I think if you saw the deflation in the time, I don't know how much time you spend behind the wheel, but if it was in excess, I'd say at a minimum of 10 hours, right? And you have the car drive for you 10 hours, and the software is $99 a month, then you're just paying it $10 an hour to drive you around.
yeah.
So, and if you're worth more than $10 an hour, you're actually should be embracing that head over heels, because then you're going to be able to utilize your time more chasing whatever that, I don't know what metric, you earn, but say that $50, $100, $150 an hour type of work.
Yeah.
So you're holding yourself back by not creating that deflation. So you get more time. They make more money. You can print out more cars, more speakers. You can't print time. So find a way to deflate how you use your time.
I love it. Here's the thing. Ken is going to be a guest again, because I could talk to him for another, but we're kicking butt here tonight. It's getting late. But let me ask you a question, Dane. Was there anything else?
I think we got everything else for tonight, but yeah, we could definitely talk for hours
Easy.
and hours.
I literally have 30 other questions, but this is a good start. Listen, when you have someone that has a wealth of knowledge, and Ken, there's a lot, but I like where we started. But Ken, was there anything else?
No, I'm just excited. I'm excited for you. I'm just so glad that you're, I'm very impressed with your product. I love the thumbnails. I love what you're doing. And I think as you hone in on what your mission is here, right? We find that demographic, you focus that life force on making sure you're uplifting, right?
That's what we do.
You can have quite an impact. So I'm there 100% to support you guys, and if we can add any value to other people, there's a lot of stuff that needs to get done out there. So we need to all be supporting each other so we can get more done.
Well, it's interesting. You're from a place like Boston, which is a very hardcore. Some guys, we don't talk about feelings. You know what I mean? Like that's how it is. Maybe not so much our generation, but especially our dads and stuff. Like it was hardcore. Like you're a tough guy. We don't talk about that. So, but I think self-help and things, and actually examining these things, I like doing it. I think that if anything from these videos, I'm learning, Dane's learning, and we just get to have an outlet, and it feels good. But I appreciate the kind words, man. Thank
you.
Yeah, man. I don't know. But let me ask you one more question. Dane, was there anything else?
Nah, I think we got it all.
Okay. Well, what about you, Ken?
No, I
Is there anything else?
feel good. I think this is some good data that we can present to people, and as you guys work through these different topics that you're going through, I love talking money. I love talking retirement. I love talking business. So as you guys are going through and you see these voids that need to get filled with data, and if I can add any value, just give me a call.
That'd be awesome. Thanks,
I do
man.
want one more closing note on my personal note, just so you guys know, chicken thighs are super underrated. I'm going to grill some after this, so don't just get the chicken breasts.
I had 3 for dinner with the skin.
Did you really?
Yep. Brussels sprouts with
wild.
Yeah, Brussels sprouts with onions, and I did it with just a barbecue season with some house. It was just like a vinaigrette and oil thing, just vegetables and the thighs. It's a no-brainer.
Oh,
and I like getting the Bell Evans. You know,
I don't even know what
the
that
quality's
is.
there.
Exotic.
The Bell Evans, it's the air chilled. They don't rinse it off in bleach.
Okay.
You know.
Oh, mine's the Walmart, $8 for 3 pounds.
Oh yeah. The pack is like this thick.
Crappy, zesty dressing. Put it on the grill. Oh, it's delicious. It's always burnt.
I think I actually mainly do chicken thighs, like chicken drumsticks and chicken thighs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought it was like a loan. And they're cheaper, by the way. If you get a bag of chicken breasts, they're more expensive than the chicken thighs, which have way more flavor. But I just want to throw that in there. People, if you are on a budget because you want to get that 5 to 10K, as by our expert this evening or morning when you listen, get the chicken thighs, y'all. Don't worry about it. It will be okay.
Inexpensive. Not cheap, inexpensive.
Yeah, that's true.
If you made it this far, then you're a true blood DTU fan. We're all getting tattoos. You fly to Texas, I'm buying. Let's go. But on our second part episode, Dane or Ken, was there anything else?
No, I think we wrapped it up and got a lot of insight into the real estate biz. Thanks, Ken, for everything, and thank you for your time.
Yeah,
100%. 100%. You guys need a partner? Shoot me a message. Follow me. I'll put in the details below, access to my YouTube channel or any network. So as people are sharpening up their skills, hey, I'm a backer. So I'm looking for growth too.
We will link Ken's YouTube channel down below here. Download the Uplift. And just so you know, if you want to be part of Kenny's team, it's about $10,000 an hour to talk with him privately. We here at Download the Uplift take 90% of that. But but we'll make sure to link him down below. Thank you so much for joining us for these 2 weeks of fun. This is what it is, baby. You want to upgrade, you want to move forward, you want to uplift. You got to consume the knowledge and upgrade yourself, baby. That's what we are all about. So thank you so much for joining us for this 2-parter. This was Download the Uplift, a place where when we fall, the whole team here tries to uplift you. Thanks so much for listening, guys. We'll see you next week, 7 a.m. Central Time.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
All right.
Good times.